Guys, how are you doing? So I've been asked recently to go through trading in a bit more of in-depth form. So I've just decided I'm going to start at the very beginning, and I'm going to slowly do lessons like this and teach you way through how it is that I trade, how I look for opportunities, how I look for entries, exits, where I put my stop losses and all that type of things. As these things progress, they'll start to get a little bit more complicated. I'll start to introduce a lot more indicators. This is going to be based and attached to the ebook, so it's basically everything that's in the ebook is going to be in a video presentation like this. But first and foremost, I'm going to start off with support and resistance. So this is a Bitcoin chart, and I'm plotting it from early back in 2001. And I'm going to just go through how how you can make money by just using support and resistance zones in trading. This is taking all the noise out of it. This is just using the pure basic analogy and the most commonly used technique available in the trading world. So look, first and foremost, you've got to identify your areas of support and resistance. These are usually on a higher time frame and are touched the most times by the multiple amount of candles. So if you look here, we've got as first identified zone here. As you can see, we've got a strong area. We've wicked into it numerous amounts of times. So we're looking here now to try and plot a story out to see how things have unfolded in the past, because the future always repeats itself. So the next thing, we'd find another area of support and resistance. Now, support and resistance can be one single line, or it can be a zone. So you can have a zone between, say, 30 and 29k, and that's sometimes when price is wicked into the area and back out and closed above it. Now, this is what's known as a fake out, and I'll get to this into a different lesson later on. But yeah, so then you find an area of support and resistance. Then you try to locate more. So there's another area of support and resistance just after the $39,000 mark. So that's at 40k's. Next, we want to try and plot some more. So we found another area there just above 51 to 52. And then the final area up there around about 60 to 64, where we had a final rejection. So what can you're thinking, yeah, so that's support and resistance plotted, and you can do this with any graph over a long period of time, and it is always relevant. It doesn't always come into it perfectly, like you can see here, or even here, but the most times it gives you a good representation of where price is and what can potentially happen. So if you'd have took a trade here on the 26th of January, right at this point, on this level of support, once you've actually come up into price action, hit this, come back and thought, you know what, this could be the correction, I'm placing a trade here, you'd have got yourself a Bitcoin at $30,000. You'd have seen yourself a 34% gain just in that short period, and that's just trading between support and resistance. So happy days, take profit one. Secondly, if you'd have left that trade to run the duration, which I guess when you placed it originally down here, you wouldn't know that that was a duration, but it's always good to minimize your risks, and we can go over that later. But if you'd have taken that overall trade and it had lasted until the 14th of April, so for a lot of new traders, you think, oh, I need to be in and out of a position fairly quick within the day, and there is different styles of trading that allow for this, but ultimately, you know, don't be scared to stay in a trade, especially if it's going your way, if you're using the higher time frames. Things do always favour the risk taker, and in this sense you would have ended up with 112% overall gains and basically just over doubled your money. So now we've had a bit of a crash here. Bitcoin's done its thing. We've seen a triple top, which is a reversal pattern. So now price has come back down into this area of support here, and we've just ranged in here for quite a bit. If you was to plot this would be a pennant formation, but I'm not going to put that in there now. I'm just showing you purely support and resistance. But you can see price has been very indecisive in this area for a long time, and it's slowly come down into support. So that tells me that momentum's kind of losing pressure. Sellers are winning the battle, but not vigorously, as we've just dipped into this. So for me now as a trader, I'm thinking, right, I know what's going on in this area here. This is a perfect opportunity for potentially the same trade and see what happens. So first of all, we're looking for another entry around about the 30k mark, and we're going to plot a long position, something like this. We're going to also have a look at the left hand side and notice that there's a head and shoulders pattern here that's formed inside this triple top. Now, a head and shoulders pattern is a reversal pattern, and It doesn't always reverse, but there is a strong possibility that sometimes we do reverse. Excuse me about that. There is a strong possibility that sometimes we do reverse. So given that scenario, I'm looking to place a trade here, go against my favouring bets because Bitcoin was bullish. This was a lot of manipulation. So right, that's it, we're having it. So I'll place my entry here around about $30,000 right at this point. I'll then set my stop loss, which is just underneath the lowest low of, it is the lowest low pre-breakout. So obviously, before you've broken out into this area, that wick is the lowest close or the lowest one down before the initial breakout, and that's how I always place my stop losses. And I've been fairly constant in not getting stopped out. I mean, I do get stopped out, but it's a good place to do that. So then, what you're looking at, right? You've got 4 levels of support and resistance there. So the first level would be your entry. The second level would be your take profit 1. Now, the take profit 1 doesn't always dictate. You don't have to take 100% of it. It depends how much of a risk taker you are. Look at other underlying factors, look at other indicators, what type of information they're giving to you. So once we've done that, take profit 1, we then got take profit 2. Once you've got take profit 2, you can set a take profit 3. That's what we're looking at overall to the top of the, back to the top of the all-time highs. How long is it going to take? It is on a daily time frame, so I'm not sure. But look, if you'd have placed that trade and gone through the motions, this is how it had unfolded. You could have took profit at plenty of opportunities. You could have also re-entered at other opportunities, such as here, and then also taken full take profit there. You could have then thought, right, let me see how the markets are going, what's going to happen, where are we headed here? So we've just kind of had, if you look, a double top pattern there now form. So a double top is a reversal, and the fact that we broke all the way down here just confirms again why support and resistance is very imperative in trading, because you could have had a buy order here you could have sold up there and thought, right, I'm going to place another trade here at 40k in my absence while I'm asleep. That trade could have taken. You could have an automated trade and just bagged yourself $14,000 there. So that is how trading works. But then obviously we all know what's happened. We've had another head and shoulders pattern. We've come back down to the downside, and now we're sat here. So for me, how does Bitcoin look? I put a video out this morning saying that it's going to range, and we are looking probably more downside favourable than the upside. Same thing, I'm probably looking for a close below 36k by tomorrow's opening, because that's when the UK session opens. But yeah, that's another story for another day. But I hope you enjoyed that little quick lesson on support and resistance, guys. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you want more, ask me for one, and I'm happy to provide. Thanks, guys.